Study Section 3 Origin and Evolution of Comparative Administration Introduction. In this study session, we will trace the evolution of comparative administration as a sub-discipline of public administration. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to 1. Outline the origin of comparative administration. 2. Highlight at least 2 challenges that has affected this sub-discipline since its emergence. 3. Justify the study of comparative administration. Origin of comparative administration. In your earlier studies, you learned that comparative administration is a sub-discipline of public administration. This therefore implies that the origin and development of comparative administration will be strongly tied to the history of public administration itself. The origin of public administration as a discipline is usually traced to the publication of Woodrow Wilson's seminal article titled The Study of Administration, which appeared in 1887. Other early writers of public administration after Wilson, like Frank Goodnow, supported this idea of a clear separation between politics and administration. Despite their contributions to the formation of the discipline of public administration, these early writers were more concerned with understanding and explaining administrative behavior in their own societies. When World War II and the birth of comparative administration, works on comparative administration began to emerge in large numbers for the first time after the Second World War, 1939 to 1945. Essentially, this interest in comparative administration grew out of some of the events that occurred during and after that war. Ujo, 2010, page 1. At the end of the World War, WW2 interest in comparative study of public administration became even high. Subsequently, many of these individuals decided to do their own research to further understand the causes and consequences of these similarities and differences observed in the administrative behavior of public institutions and officials across the developing world. In the months and years that followed, a large number of books and articles began to appear documenting the various similarities and differences observed in the administrative systems of developing countries. Jackson, 1966. Based on his study of public administration in non-Western societies, Riggs observed that the non-Western institutions were legal, rational in form but traditional in fact. Riggs, 1964. Much later, these American and European scholars were joined by others from Asia, Latin American, and, of course, Africa. Furthermore, the reconstruction of large number of states damaged by the war that followed, especially after the formation of the United Nations and several other international organizations like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund (IMF), gave further impetus to the development of the comparative administration as an interesting area of study. Many of these international organizations have sponsored research studies and training programs with the objectives of learning more about how public administration systems operate or function in non-Western societies and how they could be strengthened and used as a tool for rapid social, economical, and political development. Challenges in the study of comparative administration. Thousands of students and scholars have devoted their time to studying it around the world. A large number of books have also been published in the area. Chandler, 2000. And many universities around the world, including our own universities of Ibadan, who is running programs in the area of public administration or political science and offer courses in comparative administration. The first issue that has hampered the development of comparative public administration is the marked differences between Western countries and developing countries. The second problem is the lack of a well-defined curriculum on this subfield in public administration programs, meaning that the content of the courses being offered varies substantially from one place to another. Freedom in terms of accessibility to crucial data is greater in the liberal-developed Western countries. Data on issues, even including to a large extent on security and defense, are readily available to comparative researchers. Thus, problem is further compounded by the incapacity of many developing countries to keep records and statistics. Despite these challenges, however, comparative administration still remains very popular and relevant as a field of study. Many scholars, students, and public administration practitioners still continue to find the knowledge generated from comparative administration extremely useful in their personal and professional lives. In the next study session, we shall be learning more about the reasons why many people still find the study of comparative administration very helpful or useful. Justification for study of comparative administration. In previous sections, in this session, you learned that comparative study of public administration is well accepted across the world, and that thousands of students and scholars are devoting their time to studying it around the world. In this study session, you will be exposed to some of the many justifications for the comparative study of public administration. However, most times, knowledge is sought for its practical value. In other words, knowledge has the capacity to help human beings improve their daily lives and their societies. These issues will get clearer to you when we consider the following for specific reasons that may motivate us to study comparative administration. 1. Natural reasons. The first reason why we may study comparative administration is for natural reasons or to study for natural urges and instincts as human beings. To compare, identify similarities and differences are part of the inbuilt nature of man. When we look around us and reflect about our daily lives, we would realize that comparison is a daily affair in our contact and observation with people and objects. Ajayi, 2011, page 44. In study session, when you noted that Alexis de Tocqueville, a famous French political philosopher who argued that without comparisons to make, the mind does not know how to proceed. In other words, comparing our own experience with that of other countries depends our understanding of our own institutions and behaviors. Halmond et al., 2008, 28. For these reasons, human beings everywhere often engage in some form of comparative analysis or the other. 2. Academic reason. Students and scholars of public administration often compare administrative systems systematically in order to develop and test new hypotheses and theories about administrative structures and behavior. As students of public administration, comparative administration helps us understand individual characteristics of each administrative system and explain factors responsible for cross-national similarities or differences. For such reasons, we must devote sufficient time and resources to engage in cross-national research from time to time if we must advance our knowledge and understanding of public administration. 3. Political and administrative reasons. Comparative administration is also studied for political and administrative reasons. Countries usually look up to each other for lessons about how to run institutions or implement programs successfully. This is what is also called learning from global best practices when the knowledge and information derived from comparative administration improves the efficiency of a given administrative system or a specific public organization. But the question then is, what can we do with the knowledge so generated or acquired? We can therefore learn to adopt administrative policies, practices, and structures to our own societies and political systems after learning what type of administrative system others followed. 4. Enable non-nationals to be familiar with other countries. The study of comparative administration is also relevant because it can enable non-nationals to become very familiar with other countries other than the one they are used to. In our current world, migration to other countries has become very common. Oftentimes, we are largely ignorant about the way things work in the countries we are hoping to visit, including how their public administration systems work. For instance, we could, through comparative administration, learn about the type of public institutions existing in those countries, their functions, their strengths, and some of their weaknesses. Through this, we will know where exactly to go to when we need help or some information. We will also be more aware of the laws of these foreign countries and thus avoid running foul of the rules and getting into trouble. Study Section 3 Summary. In this study session, we discuss the historical process through which comparative administration emerged as a subdiscipline of public administration. The origin of comparative administration is rooted in some events which occurred during the Second World War 1939 to 1945. We also examined some of the reasons for studying comparative administration. This is the end of study section 3. Thanks for listening.